Hey gang, Kirk Michie. I'm back with another update on the funnel. We've gone through the curiosity about what's your number, what's the multiple going to look like, what's your business worth, and how you find that stuff out. We've talked a little bit about whether you hire a transaction advisor, what the process looks like to sell your company. We're almost through the middle part of the funnel, which essentially you've gone from curiosity into execution and you're not quite ready to go to market yet. But how do you find a buyer for your business? All right. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. There's both art and science to it. The science is that there are databases available. They cost a lot of money, and some investment banks like ours, Candor Advisors, subscribe to them. And generally speaking, we can find out not only who the right contact people are, but what kind of deal flow they're looking for, kind of what the right size of deal is. So the simplest way to find your buyer is to hire an advisor who's active in your sector or in general or broad-based investment bank or generalist investment bank that might cover who those buyers are. And ideally, you'll be working with a firm that only represents selling founders so they don't have conflicts or other relationships with those buyers, especially the private equity firm. The other way to do it is, look, depending on the size of your business, you might already know who your buyer is. Might be your biggest competitor, might be your toughest competitor, might be the biggest company in your industry. The key thing there is to find the right contact person. So couple of thoughts on that. If you're trying to source this on your own, I wouldn't recommend that you go straight to them because you won't competitively be able to play them against anybody else to get a better deal. But if you want to find out who those contact people are, look at LinkedIn. There's a relatively inexpensive service called Rocket Reach, where you can find a lot of good contact information. The person's title would be corporate development, or you can go to the CFO or maybe even the CEO. But oftentimes, if you shoot too high, that person's not going to kind of respond to that stuff, and they may or may not send it to the right contact person. So there's essentially going to be two different kinds of buyers. Strategic, a company that's already in your business, they might be growing by acquisition, but their business is not doing acquisitions. It's doing what you do: professional service, manufacturing, product creation, whatever it is you do. So they're in your business somehow. They're adjacent or up or down, right? And then there's financial buyers. Now, those will be private equity firms. People get this twisted a little bit. So venture capital is early stage. A venture capital firm is not going to buy your company. Don't talk to venture capital firms about selling your company. They make early stage investments. Private equity firms, especially those that are engaged in the leveraged buyout or majority recapitalization or full buyout business, they're going to be buyers. They have tons of capital. There was $1 trillion of deals in the third quarter of this year. There was $2 trillion in the first half of this year. Most of that money is private equity. Most of that deal activity is private equity. And the great news is the multiples that have gone up a lot are all below $100 million. So that's a big chunk of your buyers. Then there are also search funds. They can be found in some of the databases. They can also be found in the marketplaces like Axial and Invin, and you can find them through groups like CapTarget. And then there's also independent sponsors. They're like private equity firms, but they don't have a dedicated fund. So once they get something locked up in a letter of intent to buy your company, they go out passing the hat to try and raise the money to finish the deal. So more buyers out there than ever, and there are more streaming in by the day. The key thing for you is to know that your buyer is findable. This is not a needle in a haystack thing. Your buyer is findable. There are a bunch of steps to go through before you start looking for that buyer. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it out of order. Make sure you're prepared. Work down this funnel, and you'll get to the bottom of the funnel being ready to truly go to market. Okay, more to come soon.